don't
This
think he heard
conference
that.
will now be recorded.
He was ignoring me.
See, that's just rude.
Yeah, it was rude.
My, oh my, oh my. Who's gonna defend me? Anybody gonna defend me?
No one. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. So what you're gonna do? You're gonna have this laid out so you can get the estimated unit cost, selling price, and POR. So I tell you what, we can come here and do the ink right here, 2 at 5 at 10. We don't need anything special. The paper is 2 at 5 at 10. Our direct labor is $50 per hour. We can pay 10 books per hour. So we know we got to do what? Divide or multiply?
Divide.
Divide.
Okay, so this is going to be 5. Now, so we got the labor, the ink, and the paper. We now need to get this overhead in on a unit basis. And so to do that, we're going to come into our POR area. We're going to calculate our POR. Then once we do that, we'll be able to finish up and get the overhead cost in here so that we can go ahead and come up with total unit costs, selling price multiple 4, et cetera, et cetera. So on your sheet, you're going to say, okay, to get my POR, the first thing I'm going to put in here is what?
Total overhead.
Okay, so you're going to put the total MOH. So you will have this already in here. So we're going to put the total overhead in here. And so our total overhead is what?
500,000.
Okay. Okay. Then we're going to have a second line in here. What's going to be on the second line?
The quantity, estimated quantity.
It's our quantity. So we're just laying this already out. And what's our quantity?
10,000.
Everybody see where those numbers come from, right? Right there. They're in the assumptions. What's going to go on our third line?
The labor rate.
Well, not so much the labor rate, but what?
Oh, labor production.
So the productivity rate is going to be on your next line. Your productivity rate is 10. It's 10 books per hour. Everybody with me? What goes on line 4?
The total estimated labor hours.
So the total hours they're going to have to work. So how many hours are they going to have to work?
1,000.
I get 1,000.
10,000 divided by 10.
Okay, so because we can make more than 1 in an hour, we're dividing. Okay, then what's going to go on the next line?
The POR.
And so the POR is going to equal what? If you explain this to the rest of the class, what you going to tell them the POR is going to be what? Maybe line 1.
Going to be 50. Oh no, 500. I'm sorry, 500.
Line 1 divided by what?
Divided by 4.
Line 4.
Okay. So that gives us what? For the POR?
500.
500.
Okay. So pure we calculate to be 500. Okay, but when we get ready to go in here and come up with the amount of this overhead on a per unit basis, so we got to go in here and get this overhead on a per unit basis, what are we going to do?
You're gonna get the POR and then you will divide it by the productivity rate.
We're going to get the POR, we're going to divide it by the productivity rate. I'm just going to put put an R here so we can stay in there. So then I'm going to take what?
500 divided by 10.
And we're going to divide it by 10. And so therefore, how much is this going to equal then?
50.
So now when I get ready to get my total unit cost, 10 plus 10 plus 5 plus 50 equals what?
75.
And what's my selling price?
300 because you times it by 4.
So we just selling price multiple is 4. We multiply it out. We got $300. So you're going to set up your calculations right in here so you aren't running all over the place. You'll be able to calculate this preliminary data in terms of unit cost, selling price, POR. Any questions?
You multiply 4 by what number?
Cost. The selling price multiple, so that's a good point. It's going to be selling price multiple times the unit cost. See, we're pricing the item. Once we have our cost, the only way we can make money is to put extra money. We got to mark it up. So we're marking it up 4 times. So it just becomes what? 4 times 75. Any other questions on how to calculate this? Any other questions? Can everybody do this now? Is there anybody who can't do it? Yeah, I'm not talking. That's why I tell you put your cameras on. I can't see what you're thinking. Let me get back in here.
I mean, it looks simple.
It looks simple.
I can get
does.
It
that
always
part.
looks simple
It always
until we
looks
do
simple.
it.
Nah,
It
I'm
always
gonna have to
looks
go
simple
back
until
and
we do
See,
it,
that's
man.
record just to learn on my own.
that left tackle wanted it, he wanted it to be simple.
Yeah.
And it was.
So that's why it takes longer. That's really why it took that long. Not because of the 50 plays, but because you got to sit up there and learn all that stuff and not teach it to them all quick.
Don't teach them all quick.
Nah, it just looks simple now because the format. Because then you switch up the format and then be like, damn, I don't know this because it's a
Right.
different format.
Yeah.
So
There you
that's
go.
part of your learning is that you create your format that you can use to learn. Okay, so that's part of learning. Laying things out. There's a book, talk to people. But what I'm telling you to do now is, okay, create your format that you can understand, that you can work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll let y'all practice then. 5 minutes. Suppose the ink is 2 at 10. The paper is 1 at 5. our labor rate is $15 an hour. And it takes us 3 hours per book. Let's make the overhead 600,000. And we'll make selling price mobile 3, and we'll keep the quantity 10,000. So you've got 5 minutes to fill out this box, because y'all said it was simple. So y'all got 5 minutes to fill out the box. Because you got, I told you, you got your template done, and you're gonna knock this out in 5 minutes.
Yeah, so we're doing the top box and the bottom box?
Yep.
Okay.
Top box is just a part of the bottom box. First
Right.
part, top box, we use to get the unit cost.
Mhm.
But to get the unit cost, we need the MOH on a unit basis. So to get the MOH on a unit basis, we come down here and make this calculation.
Okay.
So once again, now this is how I've set it up. But you work with it in terms of how it can work best for you for Tuesday. And you might want to put the whole big other sheets in, whatever you want to do. I'm just showing you a way that you be ready to go with a template you understand. So let's see how y'all understand this way. Whether y'all can use this way or use the lot of it.
Hey, Professor Boyd.
Yes, Kayla. How
Hey,
you
I
doing?
was just saying,
Hello to you. We miss you. So we'll see if I successfully taught anything today. You should be able to do this in this 5:23. I'll come back at 11:30 so some of y'all can rest up in there and take your time and do it. But by 11:30, unless you all finish earlier,
what y'all doing?
you want to know the unit cost, selling price, and POR.
I'm not home right now, so yeah, give me like 15 minutes in order for me to do anything worthwhile.
Well, you already have it down, so it's not critical.
Mr. Board, I'm done.
Chase is done. Well, I was Chase. You'll be explaining it in a few minutes.
All right, I got you.
But we're gonna give them time. Then Chase, you're gonna tell them how you did it, so that they can be just as successful as you were. So the key now, Chase, is you gotta make sure everybody else can do what you just did that fast, especially Slowpoke Dawkins.
You know what? I just knew that you was gonna come for me, but different strokes for different folks. Okay, you just leave me alone.
Okay, Chase, let's go through your process of doing it. Hopefully everybody's about finished now. So go ahead, Chase.
Okay. So first we gotta do is find the direct material. So we got ink and we got paper. So what I did was 2 times 10 and that got me 20. And then I times for paper 1 times 5 and I got 5. Is everybody clear on how I got those, right?
Yes, Chase. Clear on how you got that.
All right, just making sure. So the next thing we do is we would do labor rate times the labor production. So I did 15 times 3 and I got 45.
Everybody get 45?
I did too. I was hoping that I was
Yes,
doing
sir.
the right thing because I was about to really divide it, but no, you didn't catch me slipping this time.
That's on period.
All right, so we're on part 3. So what I did was I recorded the total manufacturing overhead. So it would be 600,000. And then I also recorded the quantity, which was 10,000. And
So
then after,
so we're gonna change this to 600,000.
mm-hmm,
And this is what?
10,000. So you just leave it. And then for number 3, the productivity rate was 3. And then the total hours was 30,000. So all I did was 10,000 times 3. And then to find the POR, all I did was total manufacturing overhead divided by the total hours. So all I got was 20.
How many
For
people got that right?
Surprisingly, I did. Surprisingly, I got that far.
And then we're on number 6, so we got to find the manufacturing overhead costs. So I did 20 times 3, which would be 60.
Okay, so we got to multiply now. So in this scenario, we're multiplying because it's taking more than 1 hour to do it. So it's going to be 3 times 20. And that's how we get to 60.
All right, so we're gonna, now we got all the total parts, so we can go to estimated unit cost. So my estimated unit cost was 130. So I did 20 plus 5 plus 45 plus 60. And that's how I got 130.
One what?
130.
Okay. What's the selling price?
The selling price is 390. So all I did was 130 times 3.
Okay, how many people got it right?
Me.
Me too.
I actually did.
Yes.
Andrew? Cameron?
I
Why are
can't
you
say I
calling out
did.
my
No, like,
teammates?
I didn't say anything.
actually,
Okay.
go back to the chart.
Normally, those questions trip me up because of the multiplication and the division. I always forget which ones I have to do.
If it's 10 books per hour, you divide. If it's 3 hours per book, you multiply. So now you have two sets of scenarios. So maybe you need 4 columns. Maybe you need a multiplication chart and a division chart and decide which one it is that you're going to use to put your stuff in. So if you're having problems, then you have all 4, but you only going to use the 2 types you need. That is, you might have 2 sets if I'm, 2 columns if I'm dividing, another 2 columns if I'm multiplying. Then I make that decision. If I can make more than 1 book an hour, I'm going to divide. If it takes more than an hour to make a book, I'm going to multiply. So that division holds true when we make that calculation with that rule. If you divide up here, when you get down here, you divide. If you multiply up here, when you get down here, you multiply them too. So you have those quizzes and all those other things, the last set of 3 quizzes. Go practice so you're an expert at this. Because this is not that hard. You either got to multiply or divide. Any other questions on this part?
I don't really have a question, but can you post this? It's kind of a question. Can you post this document after class, like with everything filled out once we do it?
Yes, I
Cool.
will post it after class.
Thank you.
Okay. And I've already put 10.8 in course content. So you can work on that and practice on it. And if you need to see me about it, 3 o'clock tomorrow. So 10.8 is already in course content for you to practice on. Then you can come in the office hours at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Okay. So here are our first 2 journal entries. And what I tell you was that journal entries stay the same. So you should have all of this already done. And what we're going to do is we're going to work with our new numbers. So we're going to come over here and work that last column. Well, just realize we're using these numbers here to work at this time. Okay, so we're using new numbers. You've got already practiced on the old ones already. We went through most of the old ones, so let's use some new numbers so we make it our calculation. And we'll see how it works. Okay, so we got 25 ink cartridges, but we changed the ink cartridges to what? 10, right?
Right. I can see.
I don't know. Put it in the chat, Brown, if you have something there. But we just changed them to 10 and 5. So let's just go with the 10 and 5. So, you just be putting in what you have. So it says you bought 25,000 ink cartridges at 10, stage 1. So what's the debit gonna be?
250,000.
But you already got the journal entry set up. You just got to put in what it tells you. 22,000 reams of paper at 5.
110,000.
It'll be 110 as it was before. So all you did was to multiply these out and make these journal entries. Now let's go to our next set of journal entries. And I'm going to change this to 10 because we're only using 1 ream of paper now rather than 2. So I just changed that to 10. So we're going to transfer the ink to work in process, and we want to transfer the paper to work in process. The entries are already here. Okay, so the entries in terms of what we're going to do. So if we transfer 20,000 ink cartridges, 20,000 times 10 is going to be what?
200,000.
Okay, so the ink is going to be 200,000. So the journal entry is standard, 20,000 at 10. Then the paper's coming in 10,000 at 5. So how much is the paper going to be?
50,000.
So once again, we purchase more than we're going to use because we don't want production to be slowed down. But but this just tells us that 20,000 ink cartridges, 10,000 reams of paper, 20,000 at 10, 10,000 at 5. Okay, so let's go ahead and post these. So the ink was 250,000, correct? And
Yes.
the paper was 110. Then we transferred how much of the paper?
200,000.
And how much of the ink did we transfer?
50,000.
So once we make the entries, then we post them. Now, what's our balance in ink after this?
50,000.
50,000.
1,000 left. And how much we got in paper?
60,000.
60,000.
So just putting our balances in red. Are there any questions on what we've done with these first 4 journal entries in terms of making the journal entries and then posting to the ledger? Are there any questions? Okay, the next journal entry says we debit work in process and credit cash. We're still in stage 2, so we know what it is. Says record the payment of 1,200 actual labor hours. So the workers worked 1,200 hours. How much of work is being paid? They're getting $15 an hour, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll multiply 15.
18,000.
Times 18,000. Mm.
It says 1,200 actual labor hours.
Oh, 12. Okay, 1,200 times
Yes, 18,000.
15. So it's 18,000.
How much?
18,000.
18,000. So let's go ahead and get that posted. So we're gonna post it at. Finish good?
That's that should be work in process, debit and cash credit.
So it's gonna be in the work in process account. So we're only doing the partial posting at this point. Okay. So notice in stage 1, we were debiting the raw materials. In stage 2, with those 4 entries, every time we debit work in process. So that's all set out for you. You just got to make some calculation, but those journal entries are the same. Record the applied manufacturing overhead at the POR. So what was our POR that we calculated?
It was 20.
Okay, so if the POR was 20, we're going to multiply 20 times what? 1,200.
But
Hey, so is that every time you gonna when it says record applied manufacturing overhead at PR, you're gonna use a PR we just figure out at the beginning, and we're gonna multiply it by the labor hours, like one time?
Yeah, we're just using labor hours in this chapter. Now we can use machine hours also.
Okay, but it's gonna cool.
We're just using labor hours. So how much is that going to be?
that's $24,000.
Let's go ahead and post that. So how much money we got all total in this work in process account now?
You got $292,000.
Okay. So we got on the debit side, we got 292. Now it says we completed 9,000 books with raw materials and cost transfer for the completed books only, and 100% labor and overhead. So here is the first time you kind of do something a little different. So what does this mean to us?
Well, how many books did we plan to do? I just got here, so I don't know. I didn't look at the beginning.
10,000.
10,000. So it's saying basically that we're gonna use all the money we have for overhead, which was 24,000, and we're gonna use all the money that we have for labor, which is 18,000, and then I believe that 50,000, that's what we use for raw materials. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
So if we own, and that was the amount for 10,000 books. So we need to find the amount for 9,000 books, which, I don't know, let's see.
9 over 10 is typically 90%.
Yeah, that. So 50 plus 90% of 50,000, it's 45,000.
And what's 90% of 200,000?
Oh,
180,000.
yeah.
Okay. So let's look at this journal entry. In this chapter, we're always transferring out all of the MOH. This is MOH here. Excuse me, this is labor here. And we're transferring out all of the MOH. Okay? All of that goes out. On the paper, we're going to use an ink and paper, we're going to use a percentage. And that percentage is always the amount completed over the total we were supposed to complete. That percentage is typically going to be, 90, 80, 85 cents. It's going to be even typically. So you're not going to, but you should, whatever, it is. So here, it's just simply 9 over 10, 90%. So however you best work to figure that out. But you put, let's see how we can do it. We put the amount that we are supposed to complete here. We put the amount that we actually complete here, and we get a percentage. And the percentage is calculated by dividing the completed by the total that we're supposed to complete. So we divide what's on the right by what's on the left, and we get 90%. Now you're going to be putting in what works best for you in terms of calculating this. So one way to do it is to take how many you completed, divide it by the total that you were supposed to complete. You get a percentage, 90%, and then for the ink and paper, you multiply it by the 90%. So we add these up, how much is it? 180, 45, 18,
267,000.
267. So the 267 becomes what?
The finished goods
That becomes the
process
in stage 3.
inventory. Yeah, finished goods inventory.
So you only got one entry in stage 3. You come down here to this work in process account and you calculate it. Once you get it calculated, you're crediting work in process and you're debiting finished goods for 267. How much do we have left in finished goods? I mean, in work in process now.
25,000.
Where does that 25,000 come from?
292 minus 267.
Yeah, the leftover of raw material that we didn't use.
Leftover raw materials. Okay. Now we're in stage 4. And in stage 4, we're
Wait,
selling.
we got to find the actual unit cost.
Yeah.
Before we moved on.
Okay, so let's find the actual unit cost. So we're over here in finished goods. We have how many finished goods do we have?
That number right there.
Hmm?
Oh, you talking about like how many units? Oh, 9,000.
9,000. The 9,000 cost us what? 267,000. So if 9,000 things cost 267,000, how much did each one cost?
It came out at like 29.66.
Okay.
Oh no, we run out of 30. Is that what happens?
We can do that. Let's just make it 30.
So for questions like this, is it okay to just always round up, or if we do?
Yeah,
Okay.
go to the next even. Go to the next even number.
Okay.
Now I just made this one off the top of my head as we're going through the day. Most times when I'm thinking about it, the numbers come out even. So sometimes if you don't have an even number, it might mean you did something wrong. Just saying.
Wait, an even number or a number with a decimal?
But we just want an even 30. That's fine.
Okay.
Now, how much were we planning on the cost to be? Way back up in the day. Cost is supposed to be 130. So we were very, 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 very efficient. And some of it I didn't change the underlying assumption, but that's okay. So
is it supposed to be that big of a difference?
Say what?
Is it supposed to be that big of a difference? That would
No.
like make me second guess everything on test if I get that big of a difference.
Yeah, I didn't change some of the things so that as I wanted to do a different problem because we had the other one, and I didn't change all the underlying assumptions. So that's okay. So the only thing we did a little different was put all of these numbers in here, and then we determine how much is going out. Now, all of those other calculations are basic calculations. Only one where we had to do a little bit. Now, we make the sale. How many did we sell? 8,000. There are always two entries on the sale: debit cash and sale, debit cost of goods sold, and finished goods. We sold 8,000. How much did we sell them at?
240,000.
We go back.
Oh wait, no, the selling price. Oh, well, all right.
390.
So how much? Okay, cool.
So we wouldn't use like the actual unit cost. We'd just use the estimate.
You use the actual unit cost for the cost of goods sold.
You use the selling price for the cash and sales.
So if you think about it, suppose you're buying something in Amazon, they got a price already in there, right?
Right.
The person, they estimate what the cost is going to be, but if they cost off, if they got the price in there, that's the price. So you got to be on target with your costs. That's why it's called cost accounting, managerial accounting. If your cost is too high, if you estimate it too much, then your selling price is going to be too high and competitive. So you can't just be off with your selling price and get the money. Somebody's going to undercut you. So you do have to get the numbers correct. So what's 8,000 times 390?
3,120,000.
3,120,000. 3,120,000. Okay. Now we need the cost of goods sold. That's going to be 8,000
times 30.
the actual cost. Gotta go use that actual cost. We said the actual cost about what? $30.
Yeah.
So what's 8,000 times 30?
240,000.
So we're actually running this business, we'd be in great shape. Okay. But the labor hours would have been triplets and things like that, but I didn't want to change up assumptions everywhere on this one. Now we got 2 more entries in stage 4. What are those entries?
The manufacturing overhead entry. Well, it's the manufacturing overhead with the expenses and depreciation, and then it would be the difference with the cost of goods sold and manufacturing overhead.
Okay. So we had 104.5, so we'll work with those. So we have 100,000 and 405,000. And once again, standard journal entries. We're going to debit what? What we're going to debit?
Manufacturing overhead.
Manufacturing overhead.
We're going to credit what?
Accumulated depreciation.
Accumulated depreciation.
And cash.
Cash.
Hey, I have a question about that. Like, I know we're doing cash right now because we just learned, but like, if this number is representative of expenses, then why don't we have the expenses laid out instead of saying cash?
Because when they're in here, now you paying the expenses, that doesn't change. Property taxes and MOH. Utility expenses, remember we list all of those types of things? Well, they're
all included in it and okay.
They in MOH and you
Okay.
paying. But remember, if depreciation expense is in here, that's not a cash item. Remember, we did the statement of cash flow. We always added the depreciation back because that was not a cash expenditure in terms of net income. This is a standard entry here, this one here. It does not change. You just got to put the right amount in. So this is 505. Okay, so let's do some posting. So we credited this account for 240,000, right? And what did we debit? Cost of goods sold, right? So 8,000. Okay, so that's one posting we got to make. Then sales, how much did we have in sales? Sales were 3,120,000. Got a good business going here, 3 million. And we never did post that manufacturing overhead, which is what we estimate 24,000. Okay, so when we make this journal entry, we debited manufacturing overhead for what? 505, right? So what happened in this case?
We underapplied.
We underapplied. We said the item cost 24,000, it actually cost 505. Okay. So the journal entry we're gonna make is we're gonna debit what? Cost
Would be, yeah.
and credit MOH.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and the amount is gonna be how much?
481,000.
Okay. So what has to happen? You gotta make an entry so this account is zeroed out. So if you underapplied it as we did here, you're gonna credit manufacturing overhead and you're gonna debit cost of goods sold, 481,000, right? 41. So it's 481. So when we post the 481, our cost of goods sold is going up because we didn't have enough costs in it. So these numbers are larger, but hopefully, show a better reason for why we're doing it. That you said cost of goods sold was 240. Actually, it was 481. So how much we got left in finished goods now?
$27,000.
How much we got in cost of goods sold now?
721,000.
And how much we got in manufacturing overhead?
0.
Should be 0. When you make that journal entry, it should be 0. So if these numbers were reversed, if 481, the 24,000 over here, or whatever, another number over here, and 505 was over here. So 24,000 was here, then we'd have to debit the account. Whatever it's going to take to make this account 0. Okay. So these are the accounts, you either debiting COGS and crediting MOH, or you debiting MOH and crediting COGS. So you just have to determine which one it is. Based on what's going to take that account to 0. So you'll have one or two scenarios. So either debiting COGS and crediting MOH, or crediting MOH and crediting COGS. So you just have both of them on there and see which one looks best on Tuesday to use, so that that T account gets a 0. So you should, as I say, you should have all these accounts already laid out for whatever you're going to use, and any kind of things you want in there, so you can go through and run. And we had a couple other journal entries: sales, salaries, and rental expenses. What are we going to do with those? Can y'all make those?
Yes.
So it says selling expenses of what?
25% of sales.
Was 3,120,000.
Okay, so we got 3 million. What stage we in now?
So
5.
that'll be 780,000.
Are we debiting sales salaries,
Yes.
Yes,
crediting
cash.
cash? 3,120,000.
No, it's 780 because it's only 25% of the sales.
Okay, what our sales? Okay, it should be 780. So the sales were 3,120,000. So
Right.
we paid the workers 25%, the salesman. So there should have been 780. So you always will be given a percent, 10, 15, 20. You just multiply it by sales. Then the rents were what?
500,000.
So we're just going to debit rental expense, credit cash, 500,000. And now we're done almost. As I said, the next thing you're going to have is your cost of goods manufacturer statement. Already set up how you want it to work, whether it's Word or whether it's Excel. And I tell you that the key components are the raw materials used in production, direct labor, and applied overhead. These are always the components of the cost. So let's go to the top, but basically, I can take these numbers and drop them right down. So I'll change the other one. I got my other stuff in here. So ink and paper is $250. So at the end of the day, 250,000 gonna be here, okay? And then 18,000 for the labor, 24,000 for the manufacturing overhead. So in preparing the statement, key amounts come right from that account. So we didn't have any beginning raw materials inventory, but we purchased what? 250 and 110. So that means we purchased 360. Okay, so 360 was what we purchased. What's our ending inventory? 50 and 60, 110. So that's the 250. We purchased 360. We had 110 left in the accounts, 250. So we add 250, 18, and 24. So what's our total manufacturing cost? Had it in the T account, didn't we? 292,000. Is that right? We didn't have any beginning work in process inventory. We did have some ending work in process inventory of 25,000. So if I subtract 25,000 from 292,000, what number do I get here?
267.
And where have I seen this number before?
The finished goods. Stage 3.
When we made this journal entry, making this transfer, so the answer is always what we transfer out. So the answer on cost of goods manufactured is always the amount we transfer out of the account, finished goods. And we said we finished how many? 9,000? And our unit cost, we said we just used 30.
30, yeah.
All right, let's see, we can do a cost of goods sold. We didn't have any beginning. We simply bring down this number. Cost of goods manufactured. Less ending finished goods inventory. Okay, so we go into the ending finished goods inventory, and it was what? 20,000, 27,000. So what's the unadjusted cost of goods sold?
240,000.
Then we have to go to that journal entry and add our over and underapplied overhead. How much do we say that was? It was what? 481,000.
Yeah.
So since we underapplied it, we got to add it. 481,000. So when we add these two numbers together, how much do we get?
721,000.
721,000. Have we seen this number before?
Yes.
Where?
I forgot.
You forgot?
On the journal entry, right?
Oh, the cost of
I mean,
goods
the
sold.
cost of goods sold.
Goods
That's-
sold. So once again, you got a place to get your answer to the statement. So that ending balance with this T account gives you what's cost goods sold. What you transferred to finished goods in this T account gives you the cost of goods manufactured. So just kind of study that. Can we do an income statement? Do we have to do one?
Yeah, for knowledge 6.
Okay. So We'll have three. 1250. Wait a minute, is that all right? 3,120,000. Yeah. Okay. That's cost of goods sold. We take this number, we copy it, we put it right here. Okay. And it says subtract it, not add it. So what's our gross profit?
$2,399,000.
Million. And we have some selling expenses. We didn't. So when we looked at the selling expenses, 780 and 500,000.
Hey, Mr. Boyd, for stage 5, I thought you credit sales.
I thought we did. Did I have it on the wrong side or something?
No, for stage 5, wouldn't you credit sales?
Yeah, it is.
No, if you go back up to the journal entries, see it says I'll go back down.
There it is, credited.
Sales only has one entry out of this whole thing.
Yeah, I thought you would credit sales.
We did. This is a sales salary expense.
Oh, okay.
This is an expense here. That is when salesmen work and they selling stuff, a lot of time they're paid a percentage. They sold 3,120,000. They were paid 25% of it, 780,000.
Oh, okay.
Those are good points, I'm sure. So if we add these two together, what's our total expenses? 1,280.
Yeah. The net income will be $1,119,000.
Any questions? Does everybody have their strategy together now?
Yes, sir.